This is the largest camera sensor on a smartphone today. Hey guys, Ash here from C4Tech, and here's the Xiaomi 12S Ultra. Now, I've been using this phone as my primary for a few days, not enough for a full review, but it's been a very interesting experience that I want to share with you guys in this video. Consider this a review in progress. Now, like I said earlier, the biggest selling point of this phone is that 1-inch sensor right here. This is the largest in any smartphone ever. Now, Xiaomi is not the first one to do it. We've seen 1-inch sensors on phones from Sharp and Sony in the past, but this is the first time we are seeing this particular sensor in action. This is the Sony IMX989, a 50 megapixel 1-inch sensor built from the ground up just for smartphones. Now, before we dive into all that, a quick shout out to video sponsor 28mobile.com for making this video possible. If there's any phone you're looking for that's not available in your market, do check out 28mobile. They offer quick shipping. They're pretty professional, and I've been dealing with them for a long time, way before they started sponsoring the channel. So check out 28mobile.com if you haven't yet. I'll leave a link in the description below. And okay, with all that said and done, let's get back to the 12S Ultra. And let's actually start with the question, what do large sensors bring to the table? Now, to answer this, we need to get into a little bit of theory, like what makes the quality of an image. Now, there are three main factors that are responsible for quality of images taken on a camera. Number one, the size of the lens opening, which is the aperture of the lens. This is usually 1 point something on high-end smartphones. Two, the size of the sensor itself. And three, how long that shutter remains open for, the shutter speed. Let me continue demonstrating this on my A7S III. Beat it up the footage you saw so far and what you're gonna see next. They've all been shot with a Mi 12S Ultra on a tripod, but yes, it's all from the camera. Anyways, see how the image gets darker when reducing the shutter speed? It also gets brighter the longer I expose it. Now let's leave the shutter speed as is and instead change the aperture. Since the aperture is a fraction, as the number goes up, the lens opening actually gets smaller. The image as a result gets darker. Alternatively, we can leave both the shutter and aperture untouched and just play around with the ISO to adjust how bright or dark the image appears. So we could recreate the same image with a combination of these, and this combination is what's going to decide how good the final image is. Now here, if you look at these two images, they look about the same, right? One was shot with a very fast shutter speed and a high ISO, while the other was exposed longer with a lower ISO. Generally, lower ISOs give you better quality, but when you expose things too long, images tend to get blurry because motion blur, it actually gets in. Now here's where the larger sensor on the 12S Ultra helps, because in bright conditions, it lets you shoot with a faster shutter speed. As you can see here, these images were shot on auto mode, and see how the shutter is faster on the 12S Ultra. The faster shutter, like I said, it results in lesser motion blur. Now put it practically, say you're shooting your kids or your pets who might move around a lot, who might not really stay in one place for a long time. The faster shutter will reduce your chances of getting a blurry image. Now let's for a moment go back to those mirrorless camera shots I showed you as an example. See how the one with the higher ISO has more noise? Now here's where another factor comes in, software. This is where, say, Google shines. Google software magic, it helps you get great images despite the hardware not being best in class. And here's also where the 12S Ultra kinda disappoints. With software, it's just not there yet. I mean, maybe with time they could do better, but don't get me wrong. Now, even today, the images, as you can see, low light images, they turned out absolutely fine. They're clean, they're detailed, nothing to really complain about. If this phone did not have the camera as its main selling point, I'd have been perfectly happy with it if that was not the case, but it does have a 1-inch sensor, and that meant I wanted to compare it with more expensive devices. Now these are 12S Ultra images side by side with one shot on the iPhone 13 Pro Max. The Pro Max beat it up as a smaller sensor, but a faster lens, meaning wider aperture. It's also much better at processing. As you can see, side by side, the iPhone 13 Pro Max is doing so much better. Like, look at the detail on this wall, or in this case, the colors. The 12S Ultra does do well, but with that 1-inch sensor, it should be destroying the competition, and it doesn't seem to. The hardware is there, but there's a lot Xiaomi's gonna have to do with the software, which I hope they do because they have been hard at work addressing software issues. For example, this is one that came up at launch. What you're seeing now is a video being recorded, the screen cap as well as the final footage. Initially, when you zoom in and go past that 5x mark, the point where it would start recording with the telephoto, it wouldn't actually show that on the viewfinder. It would still continue zooming in on the primary so that everything is kept smooth, but that meant you weren't actually seeing and recording the same footage. As you can see, that's now been addressed. Well, not as simple a solution. Hopefully the camera will improve over time. Now, there are some other quirks that still remain as of now, right from the launch. For example, if you get a little close to the subject, this primary camera, it switches to ultra wide. See this again? Notice the point where it actually switches. Now, this is something common for phones to do when it comes to macro, but the 12S Ultra does it a little earlier, which would be fine, but see this? This was taken just before the switch. Now this was taken after the switch to ultra wide. Like I said, it would be fine usually, but here the ultra wide and the primary have very noticeable differences in colors, so it's a little off-putting. Now, as long as you do shoot with that 1-inch sensor primary, it allows for better bokeh or background blurring. We've already seen that on the clips from earlier of my A7S III. The background was oh so beautifully blurred out. It's the same with still images too. It's also clean, excellent background blur, great images. You don't get quite the same results with portrait mode implementations, right? Now, moving on, the secondary and the telephoto, they remain unchanged from the last time around the Mi 11 Ultra. But what's not present this time is that rear window display. That's gone. So no more shooting selfies with the primary camera. That is a bit of a bummer. That said, I do love this camera array. This huge circle in a rectangle aesthetic, it draws attention to the camera in a way that reminds me of the Nokia days where you'd have a huge camera bump to the back, making it explicitly clear the camera is in focus. This one's all about the camera. Now here's a fun fact. Looking at this camera array, you'd be forgiven for thinking that the new 1-inch sensor, the primary 50 megapixel, that's right at the center, but nope, that's this one. The one at the center is the ultra wide. Now, the phone, it looks pretty good. I like the fall leather finish that they have to the back. Makes this one of the very few flagships that you can grip well without a case. Not that you should be using any of the flagships these days without one. Anyway, the sides are metal, 9.1 millimeters, and the phone has a certain heft to it at 225 grams. It's definitely not a thin and light phone, but it doesn't feel uncomfortable to use either. Xiaomi's got IP68 water and dust resistance on this one, and the display, it's covered by Corning's Gorilla Glass Victus. The panel is pretty solid too. Some might not like how it curves to the sides, but to me personally, I really like it. I feel it kind of makes the bezels appear slimmer. I've always liked curved displays, but again, I can see why some wouldn't because of the reflections and all that. At least, the palm rejection is pretty good on this one. I didn't have any issues. Now, this is a pretty awesome panel, to be honest. It's a 10-bit Quad HD Plus AMOLED panel. It's got a 120Hz refresh. Xiaomi lets you switch between 60, 90, and 120Hz, and you could leave it on auto. And since this is an LTPO 2.0 panel, it would automatically drop and adjust refresh rates depending on what's needed. The peak brightness is 1500 nits, has support for Dolby Vision and HDR10+. The colors pop quite nicely, and coupled with stereo speakers, it also does very well for media consumption. Now, all the camera stuff aside, this is Xiaomi's balls-to-the-walls flagship. So, of course, it's got flagship internals. The 12S Ultra is powered by Qualcomm's latest Snapdragon 8 Plus Gen 1 SoC. We get 8 or 12 gigs of RAM LPDDR5 alongside 256 or 512 gigs of UFS 3.1 storage. Now, compared to the Xiaomi 12 series, this one seems to do much better with regards to thermals. For example, with a 15-minute CPU throttle test, the 12S Ultra ended up retaining 85% of its peak performance. Maybe Xiaomi's done better with the cooling, or it's probably the better chip inside the Snapdragon 8 Plus Gen 1. It's more optimized than its predecessor after all. Either way, the performance is pretty good. Now, coming back to the build, of course, there is no microSD support or a headphone jack for that matter. But the placements, they are very typically Xiaomi. Talking about typically Xiaomi, the software. We have MIUI 13 running atop Android 12, and it's pretty much what we've come to expect from MIUI at this point. It's feature-packed, everything feels responsive, nothing to really complain about. Of course, this is the Chinese variant, so it had a lot of bloat. Expect the global version to not have as much if they do ever decide to launch it globally, that is. So anyways guys, that's the Xiaomi 12S Ultra, Xiaomi's latest flagship phone with that killer 1-inch sensor. Now before we wrap, let's take a quick look at the unboxing, what's actually available in the box. So yes, we do get Leica branding now. Hat goes out to Huawei. Now, in all my excitement talking about this sensor, I totally forgot to mention, yes, Xiaomi worked with Leica on this. So there are certain color profiles here. You can either go for Leica Authentic or Leica Vibrant. Authentic, as the name indicates, it's more of a natural color profile, whereas Leica Vibrant is more you could say social media ready. Anyway, let's now get back to the unboxing. Opening up the box, we're greeted by a black insert. This one houses the SIM ejector tool, a quick start guide, and the regular TPU case. Next, we get to the start of the show, the Xiaomi 12S Ultra. That is followed by a USB Type-A to Type-C cable with orange accents, and finally a 67-watt charger is also included in the box. This is supposed to be able to charge the 4860 mAh battery on the inside from 0 to 100 in about 40 minutes. There's also support for wireless charging, 50 watts proprietary. That should get you from 0 to 100 in 52 minutes. The 12S Ultra, just like its predecessor, even supports reverse wireless charging at up to 10 watts. And that's pretty much it for this video. Once again, if you do want to pick one up, it's not available in your market, do check out 28mobile.com. I'll leave a link in the description below. So what do you guys think about the 12S Ultra? Love it, hate it? Let me know in the comments. And while you're down there, thumbs up, thumbs down based on whatever you felt about this video. Subscribe, turn on notifications by hitting that bell icon if you haven't yet. And thanks for your time. Thanks for watching. Until next time, my name's Ash. You've been watching C4E Tech, and I'm signing off for now. You guys have a great day. Bye-bye.